mulch up here. Down there, they use pine straw.
What that was all about, I don't know.
They were asking for pine straw? Really?
Scary.
I always thought it kind of looked like you didn't paint up your so, but.
What they did is back in the late 70s. What are they doing?
Oh, yeah.
The States.
Yeah.
The name for the tape.
They'll use it. They'll love it. So. Oh, yeah. No, I know.
Terry, the door locked again.
I told her.
Oh.
I told her.
Did you lock it on purpose?
No, I didn't. I'm not sure I know how.
I'll just wait and let him pay it, and I'll follow him in.
It just doesn't volunteer? It just does it all on its own?
We don't want people smoking in there, though.
Yeah.
Well, there's that marijuana thing.
Yes.
We don't want people who
So the
I don't
only
check.
amount that will be ours is this.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure there's rules about me smoking a cigar in there too. So.
Oh, 1,170. So that's what everybody's paying.
Okay.
I think
Plus
they're
the road commission and.
Yeah, I saw where they were.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'd like to get signed.
to ban it or to.
whatever you want.
Okay.
I don't know who stopped them up. Someone dropped them up.
Yeah, no,
Did you get big ones? No.
I'm not interested in either one. So.
It's all right. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Only
like-
Barbara doesn't want
I
to
think I
smoke
got
out,
hundreds.
so I smoke it on the deck. It seems like that. So.
Like you said, get it out there.
If I smoke two, and usually of those two, one of those is one of my.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. We're going to get started in just a minute. There'll be two times that there'll be public comment. They're not question and answer sessions, they're comment sections only. They'll be before we do our new business, and they're for agenda items. And then we'll have another public comment section for anything else towards the before we adjourn our meeting.
It's pretty. So my, but if I am going to smoke it, I want them to be good ones, right? Not doing the white-out Tipperello thing or anything like that.
True story.
Okay, the time is 7 o'clock. We will call our meeting to order. Please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Yes, you may. Herm Ferguson,
Here.
David Walker,
Here.
Mike Cunningham,
Here.
Jennifer Eden. Here. Kurt Schultz,
Here.
Zach Tucker,
Here.
Pam Mockler, here.
Okay, I'd like to remove item number 14 from the agenda. We didn't get it in time. The last couple of times we tried that, it was kind of disastrous, and we ended up tabling it anyway, so we're going to pull 14 off.
Okay.
I'll entertain the motion.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next is approval of the consent agenda. We have 3 items. We have the regular board meeting minutes from April 16, 2024, the treasurer's report from April 30, 2024, and the clerk's warrants and bills, May 28, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we have 2 communication items. We have the Livingston County Sheriff's Report dated April 30, 2024. The Planning Commission meeting synopsis dated May 14, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to receive communications 1 and 2 and place on file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Next is public remarks. Those wishing to make any public remarks, please raise your hand. I'll call upon you. Come up to the front, have a seat, or stand in front of the microphone and address the board. Anyone? Yes, Scott.
Yeah, I don't agree with, I still don't agree with selling these REUs at a discounted rate. I think it's ridiculous. This amendment for the code of conduct, you guys, this is just further going on, just harassing the people. I mean, we got 2 sessions, I don't want to be harassed anymore. Come up here, I'll make my comments, I don't need to be going through this crap. This is getting crazy. Just want to keep fighting with the people.
Thank you for your comments. Next. Yes.
I also want to comment on number 6, code of conduct. You probably, I know you can't tell me what this is. This is my hand, it's raised. It's very easy in sign language to recognize that I have a comment. It just worked a couple times, that's good. And I would encourage you to continue with this methodology of picking people for public comments without having to go through a whole process of getting people to sign a card, to put something on there, and if they make a mistake because you don't really want to hear from the residents, that's really what this is about. You want to make it more difficult for the residents to make public comments. That's clear because you always try to make things difficult for the residents during these meetings. So please recognize the sign language, hand up meaning I would like to make a comment. Please stick with that one and vote no for this amendment to the ordinance. Vote no, please. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Yes. Marcy.
It's nice to be on this side of the table. I have a couple. The first one is the special land use permit for the medical marijuana, and I'm urging you to vote no on that. I know the Planning Commission did not recommend approval. I'm encouraging you to vote no on that. It's the second time in just a few years that we've had somebody at that location trying to grow marijuana. They know what the requirements are with the township, and they choose to circumvent the requirements. And I mean, I think even if you approve it and they get in there, they're still not going to follow the law. They've shown that they don't want to follow the law. So the other one is agenda item 7, the request of the treasurer to attend the Association of Public Treasurers of the U.S. and Canada. I'm wondering what that is about, and I'm hoping maybe you can elaborate on that when you get to that item, because it seems like it's pretty costly. And I'm not sure what the value is of sending a Michigan treasurer to South Carolina for training when Michigan has their own training through the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association, which is actually coming up in September. So I'm just hoping that you can elaborate a little bit more and explain why that's a necessity. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, go ahead.
I'm referring to the Caregiver Act for the marijuana facility. I live right next door to the property. Between me and the neighbors, there's 13 kids there. Our bus stop is right at their property line. I take all the neighborhood kids to school, most of them, because nobody wants to be down there at the bus stop when everything is going on. It negatively affects our property. Not only do we deal with this new owner with noise for weeks and weeks and weeks, even though you guys sent cease and desist letters, they still did it. It took me having to call the police multiple times to get them to actually shut down. I don't want to police people. I don't want to have to be responsible for my neighbors in situations like that, because it will fall all on me and our neighbors. Not only does it create noise, but the smell is so toxic, I can't even go outside. My kids don't want to go down our driveway. They will not ride their bikes down the driveway. It will negatively affect our property values. Their attorney came up here and lied. Yeah, and the big thing is, it would be me and our neighbors having to enforce rules against them, because nobody here is gonna be out there multiple times a day checking to make sure that they're following the law, because we already know that they broke the law. So please vote no on that.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
How are you, sir? Long-time listener, first-time caller. This should be a procedural vote. You've already been recommended by the Planning Commission to not approve. So I hope I'm wasting my breath. I hope these fellows and ladies and gentlemen are wasting their breath by asking you to not approve that. The Medical Marijuana Act Caregiver Special Land Use Permit. That's my first order of business. Second order of business would be you guys are accountable to us, the residents, the taxpayers. We put you in office, technicality. If you're trying to silence people from getting up here, access to our public servants, that's a problem for me. And that's a problem for everyone here. I don't know who said it, we're the laughing stock of Livingston County right now, because why are all these people I should be at home putting my kids in bed. Instead, I'm using my time to campaign against quite a few of you. I'm using my time to be here tonight, scarfing down dinner. I got 2 kids under 2. I'm a good dad. I'm here right now because I have to be. I feel like I have to be. My mortgage payment, just like 99% of Americans, is the largest investment, or the largest payment you make every single month. That's property values. This medical marijuana thing is property values. I could hit a golf ball and hit that place. That's a problem for me. I just beg you to listen to the residents and allow yourselves to listen to the residents. Allow yourselves to have the accessibility to listen to the residents. Because what these people do is, I don't know what kind of salary you get, not worried about it. I hope that, to be honest with you, I wish you did it for free. Because I volunteer in campaigns all day for free. And I'm pretty good at what I do. So I really, I'm not a public speaker. I like to work behind the scenes, clearly. But it would be, I would just really appreciate it if you not only allow yourselves to listen to the residents here, but also listen to what they have to say. So, thank you guys.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Jeanette, resident from Tyrone Township. I'm not going to speak about the code of conduct, so-called, because I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to do. I'll speak about it at the second comment. But tonight, what I'd like to talk about is the special land use permit to install the marijuana, blah, 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 in the residential area. At the May 14th meeting, and if none of you watched it on the video, you really should, because there were many concerns, some that were mentioned tonight. But police have been called on that property, and guess what? Our planning chair knew nothing about it. He gasped when Ross talked about it and said that they had been out there. He said, he didn't even know. So the letter in the packet that comes from Ross, the planning chairman, says due to, what did it say, incompatibility with the neighborhood, that's why I'm recommending. No, that's not why. He was so outraged, and the whole planning commission was so outraged that they had a lawyer sitting right here who lied to them, full-faced. And Kurt Schultz, you know that. You were there at that meeting. You know what happened. So that lawyer was lying through his teeth. That's what it was. The planning commission got a little bit of a taste where this lawyer wouldn't answer them. Now they kind of know how we feel when you guys won't answer us as well. So I was disappointed in his letter. Here's what's really alarming about this issue. This exact issue was before the planning commission approximately 1 year ago. Same property, same issue, different people. And a year ago, the planning commission said that they needed to update our ordinance, that they agreed with the people that these facilities should be installed where they belong in a commercial area. Are you guys listening? Why was that not looked after? So here we came again with another owner trying to do the same thing when Kurt Schultz knows that that was on the agenda, that everybody talked about it, and oh yeah, we've got to redo the ordinance, but nothing was done and it fell off the list of things to do. So I'm asking you to approve the denial of the medical marijuana facility, but I'm asking just one board member, step up and ask why this ordinance was never revised. And we ended up facing that exact same situation that we were in a year ago. I'm going to repeat that. Which board member is going to ask these questions? Hold the supervisor accountable for this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And I believe we had two more. Okay, sir, right with the seat right here, go ahead.
Thank you.
And then I'll get to you next.
Thank you. Just a point of clarification. I'm the attorney for the applicant on business item number 1. I just don't know whether I'm going to be given an opportunity to speak on that agenda item or whether I should make my comments now.
Let's just wait till we get there.
Okay.
I'll have you come up, but yeah, okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. And, sorry.
So I don't remember if any of you were here at the meeting about the special land use permit, but I was, and just a reminder that every single person here that you represent was against that. And the planning commission voted to deny, which I understand is a suggestion to you guys. So if it gets passed, I will have very serious questions about anyone that votes for it. And I'll wonder why we didn't have the planning commission. So.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
Well, I'd just like to comment on the item number 1, the special land use permit. I hope the board agrees with the planning commission on denying it. Like my wife said, we have so many kids that share that area down there by the bus stop, and it's just a giant safety concern. It smells. People in and out of there all the time. These people that are trying to grow this stuff there have tried it before. I'm sure you've already heard this, but they're not following the rules. And again, why didn't it make it into the zoning changes for industrial use or commercial use? I just hope you guys take that into consideration.
Thank you. And anyone else? Being there's none, we'll close public comment. We have no unfinished business. We're going to move to new business. Item number 1 is the McGinn, Michigan Medical Marijuana Caregiver Act Operation Special Land Use Permit. Sir, if you wanted to come up. Before we start taking any questions, we've got a few things going on with this one. There were 15 conditions that were proposed by our planner, and they were not addressed in the review. Therefore, I believe that the planning chair recommendation could be premature at this time. And I do believe that we need to send this back to the PC to address the planner's comments and suggestions before it comes here and we make any decision on this or hear anything on it.
The question I have, it's in a residential area, correct?
Understood.
Is that a state law that let them do whatever? I thought it was like a certain number of.
There are a lot of state laws and regulations regarding the medical marijuana.
But they can have that grow facility in a residential area?
Yes.
According to state law?
Yes. So, I mean, before we get into just have a discussion on this, I don't think it's ready for us. I think we need to send it back.
Well, the planning commission's done their due diligence, and
I disagree with that.
how much more due diligence do you want them to do?
Because there were 15 conditions that were proposed by our planner that were not addressed.
And they still haven't responded to them.
And our attorney says it needs to go back.
Who is paying you, Mike?
Well, okay. I'll make the motion that we accept the recommendation of the planning commission to deny the request.
I support it.
Excuse me. None of that.
That's not why I'm doing it.
Go ahead, Zach.
I have concerns with the record from the planning commission. And my concern is if we were to deny this on this record, that we would be setting ourselves up for litigation.
That is true.
Folks, please. This is board time to have discussion. I concur with what Zach said. I concur with what legal said. We do have a motion in a second, which I'll address in just a second, but I just think that, there is a potential that this won't go forward, but I think we need to address these before we do that.
Per Robert's rules, you address that first. Per Robert's rules, you address the motion with the second first.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
And I've got this.
Pardon?
So, there is a motion to deny the application and a second. Any more discussion?
Am I going to be allowed to speak on the matter? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Nathan Trusak. I represent the applicant, Zach Schiffko. Some of the members of the audience referenced the attorney who was at the planning commission meeting. I am obviously, for those who watched it, not the attorney who was at that meeting. I am someone else. I do this for a living. I do land use planning every single day on both sides, both the municipal side and on the side of individuals who are requesting land uses from municipalities. So I'm fairly well versed in this area of law. To the point that you were making, state law allows individuals who are caregivers, primary caregivers, who are patients, to grow medical marijuana and receive medical marijuana from others. That is state law. They can do it up to 72 plants, and unless it's regulated where it can go, they can do it where they are. In Tyrone Township, the board has made the decision that this particular marijuana caregiving use goes in this residential district, rural estate. That's where it's zoned. For better or worse, I understand that some members of the public may think it's more suited for commercial or some other area, but for better or worse, as of today, that is the zoning classification for this use. And this use is an allowable use. The planning commission meeting was interesting. I watched the video. The planner couldn't really identify any single area of non-compliance, whether it was with special approval land use standards, whether it was with medical marijuana standards, whether it was with site plan standards. His response on every single point was either that this request and the information submitted either complies or appears to comply. Now, the planning commission, they could have chosen to, and let's be frank, before the planner got to talk about that, the board was already asking the attorney, how do I deny this request? The board didn't want to hear what the basis for the planner's opinion was, or whether or not these standards were satisfied. And they all are. And then the board made a decision, a motion that, quite frankly, I've been doing this 13 or 14 years now. It's the worst motion I've ever heard in my life. A motion to deny based on public opinion. That is not, I'll just be honest, there's not a court anywhere that would uphold that decision. And that's not me saying that my client is gonna file a lawsuit or anything else. That's just a matter of fact. There's an idea in zoning law, it's called not in my backyard. I think probably a lot of people have heard of it. But not in my backyard is not a justification for not granting someone a land use when they satisfy all the applicable criteria for the land use. There's talk of concerns of odor, but there's been information presented by my client saying how they're going to control the odor coming out of the property and to have it not come out of the property with certain filters. There's no evidence in the record that that won't be successful. There's talk about, well, there's going to be traffic. The information submitted by my client says there's not going to be any traffic. There's not going to be anybody there really other than my client and his wife. And because all other deliveries of the medical marijuana to his patients are going to occur off-site. So there's no traffic. I understand that there's concerns that that there may be a bus stop nearby, but we're missing the point that this is where this use is zoned for. If you tell somebody that you cannot, though you satisfy every requirement, you can't engage in a use that state law says you can engage in, that doesn't work. The ordinance ends up coming into complete conflict with state law, and state law always wins. This use is allowable. I understand people don't like it. And believe me, if for whatever reason things were to happen with use down the road post-approval and there would be any sort of nuisance conditions, well, there are remedies for that. But you can't deny somebody a special approval land use on the idea that, well, in the future, they may do something wrong. Okay, well, there's no evidence of that.
The generator they did.
Excuse me. No comment, please. He's talking. He has the floor. Thank you. Carry on.
Last month, I submitted a letter to the board. I don't know whether you all have a copy of it. I have a copy I can give you if you don't have it. But I laid out in detail the factual scenario giving rise to this. Here's the bottom line. When it comes to zoning and land use, individuals often think they're doing the right thing. In this case, they were allowed to do what they're doing under state law without knowing that they're violating a zoning ordinance or that a zoning ordinance imposes additional requirements that they don't know about. When they found out about them, they've worked to remedy the situation. I'm not aware of any violations since probably November of 2023. It was inspected in December of 2023. All the plants were removed from the property, and my client has been pursuing diligently this special approval land use, doing all the right things. But yet, when he goes before the planning commission, it's impossible to get a fair shake. There is no planning committee, and that's why I understand what the board is saying about potentially sending it back there, but they didn't care the first time, and I don't think they're going to care the second time. When you have a planner report that says this use either satisfies or appears to satisfy every standard, and there's no evidence in the record that says it doesn't, it's impossible for this board to deny that use. There is no evidence in the record that supports denying it. Zoning law functions on a concept that the standard of review is competent material and substantial evidence. That's what a board has to have to make any decision one way or the other. If you have all the evidence says it complies and none of the evidence says it doesn't comply, then the law requires that the use be granted. And that's all my client's asking for, is to be able to use the property the way that is zoned for a purpose that it's zoned, for a purpose that state law permits, and to do it the right way. And like you pointed out, there were a number of conditions the Planning Commission could have considered if they had legitimate concerns about the nature of the use. But they didn't do that. They didn't want to do that. They thought it was easier just to say, well, all these people here, they don't like this, and we agree with them, so you're not going to get your use. That violates my client's rights. Absolutely 100%. And again, it's not me saying anybody's going to file a lawsuit or anything. That's just me telling you what the law is and trying to impress upon you that there's a right thing to do here and a wrong thing to do here. And the right thing to do is to allow the use to go forward. And then down the road, if the township board decides to change what zoning classification the use goes in or something else to remedy the concerns of the public, that's a whole different matter. But that's down the road. This is today, and we can't say to my client, well, you can't have the use here because we think we may want to change the zoning ordinance in the future. Well, no, it's allowable now. And so that's what that is what we're asking for. We don't want to go back to the township board. We don't want to go through that again. We just want, look at the planner's report. The planner's report is very clear that there was not a basis to deny this use, and that we're just requesting that this special land use be granted to my client. And I know I talked a long time. I'm happy to answer whatever questions you may have for me.
All right, thank you.
So I can be more specific if we want to continue
Please.
discussion.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, if you look at item number 1 in the report that we have here from the planner, it references recommendation for outside analysis by a professional firm that specializes in this type of thing. Now, that's a piece of evidence, an aspect of this that we don't have, that the Planning Commission doesn't have. And, you know, from my perspective, I think we can direct them to order that, for lack of a better word, that report, look into that. And I mean, there's about 12 other things that I have highlighted in here as well. I mean, we could be specific and direct them to consider each and every single one of them. But I think we could kick it back with the specific direction that they need to consider these factors. Because I am very concerned about the record.
You know, I'm concerned about how it got here too. And, you know, I'm not saying that I'm for this by any stretch of the word, but there is a history here that when we get into deliberating this, if we do, that, you know, and, you know, you mentioned being truthful and following the law. Oh my, don't get me started. Don't get me started. So, I think it probably our best interest that we do send it back, and then we make our decision when all these things have been addressed.
I'll call the question. You have a motion, so I'll call the question.
Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
What are we voting on?
On the motion?
We're voting to deny.
Yes.
Deny.
Okay. I vote to deny.
Okay, those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Okay, motion carries, your application's been denied.
Move on.
Next is the item number 2, Mabley Hill Road, Faucet to Germany Improvement Agreements. So, the motion was to deny it. We denied it. Item number 2 is Mabley Hill Road, Faucet to Germany Road Improvement Agreement. This was budgeted money. We talked about doing this. We approved all of our road contracts at a prior meeting, and this one didn't get to us from the Road Commission, so this is the contract for it. It's $65,000 to add gravel and do drainage work on Mabley Hill Road from Faucet to Germany.
Mike, they've already cut the trees and cleared
Trees
them?
have already been cut.
Okay, I make a motion. Support it.
Do I have support?
Support.
It's been motion and support to approve the Mabley Hill Road Improvement Project from Faucet to Germany. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Moving on to item number 3. It's a resolution to establish the price for bulk sales over sewer REUs. We've already talked about this in depth at prior meetings. This is the resolution that was asked to be brought forward. There's $2,000 decrease if you on the price if you purchase 100 to 199 REUs, and a $3,000 discount if you purchase 200 or more.
Mike, we discussed it in prior meetings that we have way more than we'll ever use, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We have a lot of REUs.
When we originally got those, did we buy those from the county? Did we have to pay for that?
Yes, so part of the original bond process is we had to have some capacity purchased. And the capacity is gallons per day. So then they're divided up on a residential equivalent. I think we have ours set at 220 gallons per house of sewage daily. So that's the residential equivalent unit, that's an REU. So with what we bought at the 220, we have 4,000 parcels and we have over 5,000 REUs.
But we're not losing money at the, like a volume rate? Like if we
No.
sold them for,
No, we didn't purchase, we purchased the bond as a whole, so
Okay.
not
It was,
as a.
it was part of the bond, part of the original bond issuance.
all right, I support it.
Any other questions or comments?
So before they're sold, who has to approve the sale?
What's that?
Before they're sold, who would have to approve the sale?
The board would.
Okay,
There'd be a request to purchase. The
Okay.
board has to approve the sale.
okay.
Any other questions, comments?
I have none.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries.
Do we need a,
This is a resolution.
Resolution, gotta do roll call.
Oh, that's right.
oh, it's resolution.
It is a resolution. Madam Clerk? So change it from the motion to I
Resolution.
resolve. Whoever made the motion,
I did, I
Okay.
resolve.
and then supported.
I'll
Madam-
support.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Zach Tucker,
Yes.
Jennifer Eden,
Yes.
Mike Cunningham,
Yes.
Kurt Schultz,
Yes.
David Walker,
Yes.
Herman Ferguson,
Yes.
Pam Loeffler, yes.
That resolution passes. Next is item number 4. It's the network firewall, UPS, and switch update. That was something, our firewall equipment needs to be updated, UPS needs to be added to it, and we have a switch that needs to be updated. Man IT is who we contracted with recently as our new IT company. So it's a total of $3,297 for installation and equipment. The firewall network is $2,459. That also includes 2 years of advanced security with it, the rack mount and the labor to put it in, and then the $838 is for the UPS power backup and the switch.
Was
Mike,
this-
what kind of insurance does this provide us if there is a cyber attack, like ransomware, and it gets through the system? Is there some, do they take care of any problems that result?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And this switch is far more improved than what we have. What we have is outdated and it needs to be replaced.
We'll find out.
It's, just fell out of,
We'll find out.
just fell out. So,
Move we approve.
do I have support?
Yes, support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the network firewall purchase, the UPS and the switch back to update. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. As part of the new election law, we also had to get some security cameras. And so we decided that we would also, while we're doing that, get some security cameras in the building. We have a quote, it's pretty extensive. It's a video recorder, it's 410, I think,
8 cameras, I think.
no, it's 12 cameras. So we're gonna have 12 cameras, a PoE switch, labor, and a DVR that records on site for us. So that quote is for $9,422. Most of that is install labor because they have to run the cables for it.
Where is the cameras gonna be placed? I can't read the.
Do all 12 cameras run at the same time, or do they switch on a 1, 2, 3, 4 basis?
They'll all record.
At the same
There'll
time?
be a parking lot camera, there'll be cameras in the boardroom, there'll be cameras.
But each one is recording separately
Right,
at the same time?
right.
Okay.
There'll be some in the offices, there'll be some in the lobby.
Mike, on this here, was this the only quote that we got on this here?
Yeah, because we're
Okay.
contracted with this.
Oh, okay.
You remember when we vetted all of our IT companies 4 or 5 months ago? Yeah, so this is our IT company and that's the quote.
If there's no other questions, I make a motion.
Yep.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to purchase the security cameras, DVR, and installation for $9,422. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries. Next is a amendment to the Code of Conduct for public township policy meetings. It's not denying anybody the right to talk. All it is just making documentation of who spoke and at what time they spoke, whether it's first, second, or at both. And then it allows us to, make sure that everybody has spoken. The county does this. Most of the municipalities around here do it. The school boards do it. We're just kind of late to the party on it, so.
Mike, the question I have on this, I agree. I've talked to a lot of townships. I work for General Motors. We did all that. I mean, even with Mike Mueller, I talked to him this morning. They do that. But the thing I look at right now, it's like somebody told me that really the temperature of this room is way up. And it has been for 5 years since I've sat on this board. And I'd like to see what we could do where we could work together to lower that temperature. I see this as, and I'm not against it in the future, but as of right now, I'm against it. And what I'd like to see in 5 years, and I've talked to other municipality leaders, including Bonnie Mathis that's sitting here, is to eliminate a lot of this is having workshops. Like you could talk to us. I'd like to talk back and forth. We can't. I understand it in a board meeting we can't do it, but if we have a workshop, maybe once every 2 months. We did that with the Historical Society when Phil came in. We sat here with 30-some people, and it was really good, an hour and a half, and we got to talk. And that's what I'd like to do, is propose in the future that we have open communication where we have just a workshop where people can come up and talk and we can discuss it. And I think what it'll do, it'll bring the lower temperature down. And so I can talk to residents about how they're feeling about certain things, because I don't usually get a chance to see them unless they call me and I come out and cut a tree down. And I've talked to over 50 of them in the last month, and they're not liking the way that this is happening here, that we are a laughing stock. I was in Flushing Township last night, and they asked me what's going on. And people around the county, and even the drain commissioner comes here and said, we take the crown. What we've got to do is we've got to figure out what we can do. And I don't think at this time it's good to do it. That's my thought on it.
All right. Any other comments?
I don't really see the issue myself. Whether they're coming up, we're calling them. I think why the county does it in other municipalities is it's more orderly. We all know basically who everybody is.
When I look at this, Jennifer, it's like I heard people that aren't in here that they perceive it. If we had a workshop on it, they could get those, they can't get the questions answered. That's why they're frustrated.
Herman,
no, I'm just, can I talk?
You can, but I think you're getting off on.
No, I'm not getting off. It's why, if you ask the people why they're upset, they are not getting appreciated and they're not getting understood. They're not. And they look at this as one more
You know what, I disagree with you.
Well, I know you do.
Because it's not true.
But here's what I would do. How many people are against it? You know,
Herb,
there you go.
This is not a public.
I know, but the thing is, we need a workshop. We need a workshop. We need a workshop.
Herb, we sit here all day long and we talk to people all day.
I know, but we don't get a chance to. They don't.
You just need to speak to them.
So, you are speaking to the board.
Right.
You're not polling the audience.
You know what?
So,
okay,
we're moving on.
All right, fine, so be it.
Anyone else have any comments?
Yeah.
No one has anything.
Please be quiet. I don't need any more comments from you. If I have to ask you again, I'm going to ask you to leave. Thank you.
So I deal with records all the time. I understand the need to have a clear record that can be understood, and I think that's important. And part of that is identification of who's out there. I think I need to say, at risk of giving away a dirty secret, my cell phone's on the township website. My clients don't get that. So I'm here and I'm listening. But I do understand the purpose of this.
I do too, but I don't think the timing's right.
Any other comments? What do you guys want to do with it? Got two options, a motion for or a motion against.
Motion against.
Well, okay.
What are you thinking, David?
No, you really can't make a motion not to do something. You can just die for lack of support, but you really don't make motions to not do something. 'Cause you do motions in the affirmative, not in the negative. So the answer is if there's no support, then there's no support and we move on.
Is there support? Does anybody want to make a motion for it? Okay, then we move on. Next is request of the treasurer to attend the Association of Public Treasurers of the U.S. and Canada 2024 conference. Jen, did you want to talk about this?
Yes, I will with pleasure. So many of you know that I'm already taking MMTA training, which I do with pleasure. I have also, which I earned my MICPT a few years ago, and you have to have continuous ed credits with any.
Explain what that acronym stands for.
What?
MICPT,
MICPT, Michigan Institute, I don't know, I have to look at it. Sorry, I had a funeral, my best friend died today, so I am not all totally here today, so I apologize. So this one training that I'm asking for, first of all, I want to clarify that the board does not have to approve this training at this meeting. My board budget, or my training budget, has already been approved by the board. It was $5,000 for training and $2,800 for travel. I put this on the board every time because I want to be transparent and let everybody know what I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing. So this training that I'm asking to go to is for my Certified Public Funds Investment Manager certification that I just received. This is the continuous ed for it, and it is in South Carolina, and I get that. And somebody brought up the expense of it. It is no different than me going this September to up by Petoskey, Traverse City, for my MMTA. So you pay me mileage. I just went to Bay City for a 3-day conference, and I was paid like $95 mileage. The plane ticket on this particular trip is $350. So it is not egregious. It is excellent training. We have 2 phenomenal speakers at this training. And what this certification does, instead of why I chose to go past the MMTA, is this certification is for a Certified Funds Investment Manager. So it teaches us how to seek better investments and how to protect them and how to read bank ratings. We had, as you all know, 3 banks collapse last year. Nobody got wind of that prior, right? The banks closed and that was it, out the door. So this training teaches us how to look at their bank ratings and follow the flow chart and see what banks are critical and in danger of that. Another thing, when I took office, there were many of our funds that were not an investment policy or investment fund, accounts that are making interest, excuse me, and I have changed that. Also, there were many funds that were not FDIC approved or in protected, and I have changed that. And for an example, the first year in office, I'll do my first full year. So I started in 2018, the interest accrued on all accounts was $87,551. Last year, or our fiscal year ending this past March, was $342,018. That's huge in just interest. And that's because of the way, the mechanisms that I've learned through this training and where to move money, how to get it protected, and know what we need for like flow, so I don't catch myself having it invested and then need it, and then you have to pull it out and be penalized, which has never happened since I've taken office. And I appreciate being able to go to this training. Do I like to do it all on my own time? Absolutely not. But I think it's critical to what I do in the importance of, you just, okayed my treasurer's report, not okayed it, but put it into record. And I'm foreseeing or overseeing $15 million. To me, that's not chunk change, and that's all of the residents' money. And I take that very serious, and how I, manage things, which is my duty as a treasurer to do so.
Mike, if there's no other questions, I support it.
You're making the motion?
Motion, yes.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Do we have support?
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the request of the treasurer to attend the Association of Public Treasurers of the U.S. and Canada 2024 conference. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is item number 8. It's the Lake Tyrone fireworks display permit request. This is their first year doing it. Actually, when I was on the board of Lake Tyrone, I tried to get this going, but it didn't fall, and things have changed. Some people have moved off the lake, and new people have moved on. There's a lot of excitement and interest in this. So they have their shoot site, which will be in Tyrone Township, because this lake is in both Tyrone and Heartland. The shoot site will be near the dam. We have recommendation from the fire inspector, John Danke, that everything is in order, and he recommends final approval for it. So,
Mike, will that be at the end of Bullard Road where they're shooting?
No, at Mabley Hill.
Okay.
Actually, there's no real way to drive up and see it. You basically have to be on somebody's lake property.
Oh, there's not that long road that's
Well,
on
you
the northeast
can-
side?
You could go down Bullard Road and you'll be able to see it.
Oh, okay.
You should be able to see it in the, at least a mile away from there. The topography's pretty good.
That'll be nice. I make a motion.
Do we,
That's cool.
are the contingencies in the fire department's letter satisfied, or do we need to include those as part of the approval?
I believe I was satisfied with it.
So, but
Let me double check, just to make sure. Because we also have the one for Lake Shannon.
everybody has to be on
I thought they met them all.
I thought so too. But
When I read through it, I would have,
Mike, the fire chief, that's from Heartland Township?
Yes,
Okay.
it's not the fire chief, it's the fire inspector, it's
Oh,
John
it's in
Danke.
the south end of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some terms here, and it, just like all these fireworks shows, if there's anybody on the water within the shoot range, they don't start them, they make everybody get off, so. And then the brush truck will be there as well, so.
That'll be on the 4th of July.
no, theirs is June 28th.
June
June
28th.
28th or June 30th, depending on weather.
So I think that the motion needs to include the recommendations as set forth by the fire captain as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you want to amend your motion,
You have to
Herm?
accept the.
Yes, so we're gonna, yes, I accept that.
Okay. So the motion, it's been motioned, and do we have a second on this?
I'll support.
Okay.
As amended.
It's been motioned and seconded, amended to include the recommendations of the fire captain to approve the Lake Tyrone fireworks display permit. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Item number 9, new business. This is the Lake Shannon fireworks display permit. This is also Heartland Deerfield Fire Authority. We do have the letter and recommendations from Fire Captain John Danke as well. So I think we can go ahead and entertain that motion as well to include the recommendations.
I make a motion.
Okay.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the Lake Shannon fireworks display permit, including fire captain recommendations. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Next is aerial imagery program quote. If you've ever been on county GIS, you can see how important that these flyovers and aerial photography are. You know, every 4 to 5 years this is done. It's been 4 years since it's last done. The cost to us for this is like $1,100. And it's a tool that we use daily. Real estate agents use it. People that do estimations and stuff, they use that as well, so.
Mike, what's our access to that in regards to what can Tyrone Township see? Can they see everybody that's on Livingston County, or is it just Tyrone Township?
All of Livingston County.
Okay.
Yeah, every resident can go on Livingston County GIS, and they have what they call an interactive parcel viewer, and you can actually go and look at everybody's parcel. You can get the parcel ID number, you can get the address, and who lives there. And it's on the interactive map for Livingston County GIS.
And we only have to pay our portion, the $1,100.
Yes.
Move we approve.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the aerial imagery program quote. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. That motion carries. Well, you know, we've been here long enough now that we got this new parking lot and it should be sealed. So we put that in our budget. We got 4 quotes. We have, we have 3 quotes. Ranging from $4,434 all the way up to $7,135. We have used Allen's asphalt in the past at our old facility. They did a great job, no problems. They put the striping back the way it was supposed to be. And so they're the low bidder here by $1,800, so.
There's not a difference that we know of. There's a lot of terminology about extended wear stuff in the federal paving quote.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's just fluff, but do we know if there's actually a difference?
You know, these ceilings last for 2 or 3 years, you know, and it's something that if you want to protect your parking lot, you know, your investment, you have to do it. So, I mean, I don't know how much better Federal's asphalt is going to be, but, you know, by the time we get 3 out, we're already paying for the 3rd one if we stick with Allen's at the rate of the difference, so.
Right. Make a motion to approve the Allen's asphalt quote.
Support. It's been motioned and supported to approve the Allen's asphalt quote for $4,434. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed? That motion carries. All right. So we had budgeted $30,000, I believe, in our building site fund for repairs of the old town hall this year. One of the things that we need to do is the roof repair. We have some quotes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 quotes. Ranging anywhere from $8,414 to $11,250. They're going to be an asphalt shingle. We're trying to keep this as close to the historic shingles that are up there, except they're not the shake cedar. There's 2 quotes, and they're pretty close. They're $400 apart. The one that's $400 more has $50 a sheet for OSB replacement. The other one has $102 per sheet. You know, I don't know what's underneath that, but I would think that if they get up there, they're probably going to find that some of that OSB needs to be replaced. And, you know, they don't cut lumber like they used to. So there's a good chance that it might be uneven, and we ended up replacing all the OSB sheets. And if we're saving $50 a sheet, I think, you know, these old buildings, you know, they're always a can of worms when you open them up. So I think that we probably be better off going with the maximum quote for $400 at the $50 a sheet of OSB additional, as opposed to the one that's $100.
I agree with you. Like, if no other questions, I'd make a motion to accept maximum.
Do I have a second?
I'll support.
It's been motioned and supported to accept the maximum roofing quote for the Old Town House. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries as well. Next is the townhouse HVAC quote. Our HVAC company that we have under contract is donating all the labor, and they are doing it for the cost of the equipment. However, when they gave us a quote last year, it has gone up. So it's $5,246 for all the equipment for the HVAC for that. That includes a mini split heat pump system. And we know Wayne, so I don't think we're gonna get any better quote than that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the HVAC quote with Mack Mechanical for $5,246. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. We pulled off 14, so that's it for new business. We have nothing miscellaneous business to discuss, and this is the last call for public remarks. So, Scott.
Scott, White Lake Road. Since you were the lawyer that spoke out for our township on the marijuana facility, maybe you can explain to us, was that denied? I know you guys don't want to explain it, but I think I'd like to have a clear answer from you guys. Was it denied, and can we go back and do the rezoning before they reapply? So if you guys want to answer that, you can. If not, you can. Okay. Another problem we had at the planning commission meeting was the Liberty House. When I got on the Liberty House, when I found out about it, came here and was told that we had no say. The licensing would overrun the township and the people, and they were allowed to do this. Well, you know, we came to the public hearing here, and boy, would we find out that nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. Don't even know what the laws are. Our planner, we had to have our lawyer from the solar panels try to help us. And you know what? I've been on the phone. Guess what? They're wrong. I've been talking to the state. Okay? Nobody knows what they're doing here. And you know what they told me? It's still under the SUD. They're legal. Okay? And the problem was they have to pass local, state, and all the municipalities, and they'll give them a license. You know what? It should have came up to the people then. We should have been informed, so we could have put our 2 cents worth in. But we weren't. Nobody knew. I mean, come on, you guys. You're protecting me. There's one of these ding-dongs was up in one of my neighbor's yards. I mean, it's a mess over there. I mean, is this going to be another thing? It's just one thing after another. I mean, come on, put that across the street from your house. And you know, I came up here, and I asked the questions, and it didn't get presented to the people. There's going to be more on this. The research is getting done. I don't know if she can have a lawsuit against you guys. I don't know who applied for what, but it's what you guys were doing last meeting was not even close to what she's doing. I mean, these two guys were over here, the planner and this lawyer, they were back and forth saying she couldn't do it. It was crazy. I've been talking to the state. I've talked to both of them. should have been informed, and the people should have had a say. The people should have been informed properly. We keep dropping the ball on this stuff. It's not done properly. If it's not done properly, if I can't trust you guys to protect me, who am I going to trust? And I came in here. Should have come to public hearing. We got people in this community know more than what some of you guys know.
Thanks for your comments. Yes, sir.
Just want to come out and introduce myself. Dominic Rashunsha. I'm running in the Republican primary to represent Heartland Township up in the Lansing State Legislature. So just want to come down, say hi, and I'll be around to mix and mingle afterwards. So appreciate you recognizing me.
Yep. Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Well, I don't want to be negative. I want to applaud whoever voted to deny the marijuana house. But I listened to this guy sit here, speaking of these people who haven't taken the time to show up yet, by the way. They haven't showed their faces here. But speaking about it's against their rights. And we have a government by the people, for the people. And I can exercise my rights until they infringe on someone else's. These people's children have a right to go out and feel free at the bus stop. They've said they don't. They have a right to live peacefully in their house without an $80,000 generator running. So every time these attorneys come up, it's totally one-sided. I find it annoying that they get unlimited time and they get to sit here and just spew out all this one-sided crap, to be honest with you. But I will applaud you, whoever voted to decline that, because I feel like you did your job. And my friend here was speaking for the people, which is that's the way this is supposed to work. Everyone out here agreed with him. They appreciated what he said, and I find it interesting that you call him out of line when he's speaking for the people. Tells me a lot about him. So I'll move forward with that, and we have an election.
Thank you for your comments. And Jeanette? Go ahead, Bonnie.
Wait a minute, just to get up.
Take your time.
My name is Bonnie Mathis. I am the ex-supervisor of Benton Township. I held office in Benton Township for 30 years. I saw the article in the paper, and I thought, my God, what is happening? And I'll be honest with you, because you are our neighbors, I was embarrassed. I'm not saying I was embarrassed about what you people say or the board. I've known Mr. Cunningham, Mike Cunningham, for many years and sat on many, many committees with him. It's hard to be a supervisor. It is very, very hard. But I just sat here and I thought of some things you can do. We voted marijuana down when they first came to our door. I mean, it was a scene at our township because we didn't want them. And they tried to force it onto us, but we stuck to our guns. And I really appreciate you doing that. We don't need them. We don't need them. When they were saying about, I'm trying to think because I didn't bring a piece of paper or pencil. When they were saying about accounting and you going to the trip and that, and the cost, do you have an accounting company that works for the township?
We have an associate, yes.
Okay, then that was something that I would say that you would be recommended by the county, by them to your board. When we say workshops are not bad. Workshops are the best thing that can ever happen because you air it out. We're on television even. We've been on television, 5 years. That is another great thing because you know what? People see you. They see your actions. They know what you're talking about. Never be afraid of the audience or don't ever be afraid of the board. You've got a good board here, but you need to have the workshops. You definitely have to have the workshops. And you can say once a month, you can do it every 6 months. I don't know how your program is. The other thing on the program, when you come to a meeting, do you have a notebook given to you telling you about all the articles that are going to be on paper? You know, like you put that up there in the front. Do you people receive all this information?
Yes, that's a board packet.
Okay, a board packet. And that's very, very important, but that's where the workshops are. And you'll get volunteers, people that are of your board that want to do a workshop because they want to know. I used to have people come to me and say, Bonnie,
can you wrap it up? It's time. Your time's
Sorry.
up.
can I ask for, because I'm going to be leaving, and I'm proud of you. I just have a few more things to say.
Just wrap it up. We have to cut it off.
I'll obey what you said. Now I can't remember what. Sorry. Anyway, you're doing a good job. Excuse me, medical marijuana was, I thought you were going to vote it in, and I thought, oh my God, don't do it. No matter how many times they come back in this building and want it, you vote, the board will vote it down, I know they will. So, my God, I will say goodbye. But I did see it in the paper, and I thought, I gotta find out, because you should never have a board fighting with the board. We are people together, and
Exactly.
I stayed there for 30 years, and I worked very, very hard. And you cannot imagine how many times your life as a supervisor can be threatened. And I've called the sheriff in and everything. So,
Bonnie, I have to apply the rules evenly, everybody, so thank you so much.
It's
I
nice
appreciate
seeing
it.
all of you.
It's a good pleasure seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you people are doing a good job. I don't know if I can get through.
Yes.
So I want to say thank you for denying that. I know that the lawyer came up here and, had a bunch of words to say, but, in the end, my property value would be affected by that. My life, my personal time on, enjoying my yard that I pay for, my kids and their safety, all of that I feel is just as important because, it's not just my kids, it's the kids all around us. And like I said, I have to take everybody to school because no one will wait down by the bus. And the fact that the generators that they did have run, I know you've heard this, but it was like a bulldozer. And I could hear it in my house 24 hours a day for weeks and weeks. And it didn't matter who I called, it was still happening. And I feel like if it was approved, that you guys would be done, and it would be us that would have to police, especially me, because that's my property right there. I own an easement of 60 feet on their property, so their facility that they grow on is like 20 feet from my driveway. So, this affects me all the time, 24 hours a day, and I'd like to enjoy my life, not watch over everything that they're doing and hoping that, my kids are gonna be safe and the neighbor kids are gonna be safe and, that I can just go outside and garden. So thank you for that, and let's do something to make sure that this doesn't happen again, because, this is a repeat. I've been up here quite a few times on the same property, and if we can get something on the books that, put it in a place commercial, there's places all around, and not only that, there's so many different stores that sell marijuana now. I don't understand why someone would feel like, they're gonna spend all this money for an attorney to be fighting for them. There's ulterior motives here, and we know they don't follow the law anyway, so thank you for ending it for right now. Let's just end it forever, so.
Thank you for your comments.
So I think that's, helpful, and I think it's really important to be able to say no, and it's important to listen to the residents. I think it's important to have dialogue, as you've heard tonight. I think it's really critical to be able to talk and discuss. You're our adversaries today because you don't do those things. and we don't want to be your adversaries. We need this community to come together, and that happens only two ways. We either elect the people that will put us involved with each other, community, that means all residents, or we recall you. That's another avenue that we have to take. So please understand, this is not a light issue by any means. All of these issues are super important to the residents because the residents do have rights. The other thing I'd like to mention at the Planning Commission meetings during the master planning, I pointed out on several occasions that there's no resident impact section in our master plan. You have wildlife sections, you have all of these other sections in that master plan, and not a single one says we need to understand the impact to residents. And what you've heard just in this last comment is that there's impact to residents, not just legal impacts, but you've got to start looking at every ordinance, every request to do something different here. You have to ask the question, what is the impact to the people who already are here paying taxes? What is the impact to the neighbors? Why aren't you going to talk to those neighbors personally, every single one of you, before you vote? You have no idea what the resident impacts are to the things you guys are passing. And it's really nice to hear your comments about, oh, well, we should have that, but there's an impact to residents, impact to us. They have to now do more work rather than just raising our hands. Thank you for not voting for that, at least today. But this is the point. Impact to residents. We are the residents. You have a $5 million fund from taxes in the general fund because of us paying taxes. You don't get that money. And of course, Jennifer's pointed out how her investments have helped to increase that. Thank you very much. But that doesn't start by you making decisions. It starts by us paying taxes. Everything should have resident impact statement for everything we do. That is the way you show the residents how important the residents are to this community. So that's my vote. Everything from this point forward. Resident impact. If you don't understand it, then just keep it out of here. Okay? That's all I got to say.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. In the back.
So I'm new to this, shame on me, but thank you, Mr. Ferguson, for that. I work with 250 employees, which is on a much smaller scale, but having that open line is very critical. I'm excited to be a part of, starting to become a part of my community. I believe today and what we deal with, we need to be a strong community. We need to be here for, each other. So I look forward, hopefully we have those workshops. I look forward to talking with you, asking questions. I look forward to you asking me questions, trying to get to know me. But again, I don't expect all of us to always agree, but I believe in these days that we are living, they get harder and stranger, and we need to be together. So again, I hope that you move forward with that. I think it would be a huge help. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir. In the blue, were you next? Or?
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to address the board. My name's Tom Combs. I live on White Lake Road. I know that there's difficulty sometimes in managing a meeting, but there's a little bit, there's an unfairness when one side's limited to 3 minutes and the other side can go on to 6 or 7. I understand responding to questions. This was a rant. He just went down every path he thought to go on. So it just felt unfair to me. So thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else? Yes, Marcy.
I just wanted to see if you guys could make it a priority to get that ordinance updated so that if that applicant comes back and reapplies, and I don't remember if it's 6 months or a year, that they have to wait, so that that can be corrected so that they can't put one in a residential area. So I just was hoping you could make that a priority so we don't have to deal with that. And thank you, Jennifer, for explaining that.
Yeah, and the Acumen, the MICPT is Michigan Certified Public Treasurer. I apologize, I couldn't get that out earlier.
Jeanette. Thank you, Marcy.
So part of my last comment was I'm asking one member to step up and insist a conversation be held here tonight about how this issue of revising the latest ordinance was ignored, which led us to be in the exact same situation we were in a year ago. And Marcy just asked I've asked how many times, I can't tell you how many times I've asked the Planning Commission, and it's been ignored every time. I've asked Kurt to get it on the board, and it tells me yes, and then it never happens. So what do we need to do to get this on the Planning Commission ASAP and start working on this ordinance? It's going to be, thank you for your comment, I go sit down, never hear about it again. I want to hear about it. I want to hear that a year of asking for this, that it gets done finally. You're the reason that this happened again. You're the liaison between the two, and you should have brought and made sure that it got looked after. We know the purpose of the amendment to the code of conduct earlier that was voted down. You'll notice that the supervisor did want to still have it. But I think it should be called the Shut the Blank Up resolution. Okay? And I could also call it Shut the Blank Up, and I want you to sit the blank down before I slap you across your blanking face. Somebody here on the board said that about me. And he sits there and he doesn't acknowledge that that's what he said. So he holds you all, you men, are all suspect because he won't stand up and say that it was him. Someone's making faces at me from the board right now. I asked our deputy sheriff, I tried to make a police report. Guess what I was told? As soon as I mentioned that it was someone on the board, conflict of interest, wouldn't take my police report. And ladies on the board, you should be concerned about this. I'm a woman in this community where somebody said something threatening to me and nobody cares. And so if I have someone coming across my yard one day, I call and I say, looks like somebody from the board, I'm not sure who it is, but they've got a gun, they've got whatever. I'm gonna hear, sorry, conflict of interest, we work for the board. Really? So everyone can know in this township, if you want to press a charge or you want to mention somebody on the board, this is the response that you may get. Is that right? What is going on here? That's what's happening. And by the way, oh, she's left. But you sit there and have made so many faces at people, you're not cooperative with people at all. You don't even want us here.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Being none, we'll go ahead and entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved. Support.
It's been motioned and supported to adjourn the meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
Oh,